Hello, everyone. Welcome to DEI, a podcast dedicated to discussing diversity, equity, and inclusion. My name is Kara Xie, and today we have Miss Vivian Tsang with us. Miss Vivian Tsang has an extensive background in credit risk management and transaction structuring across North America and Asia. She commits to diversity, equity, and inclusion in the financial sector through her leadership and strategic initiatives. She fosters an inclusive environment and promotes diversity in addressing market challenges and opportunities. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Ms. Sung.
You're
Can
welcome,
you,
Kara.
can you introduce yourself to us, your identity and background?
Sure. So I've always been in the financial industries since college graduation. I've worked for two American banks, a rating agency, and also for almost 10 years now with a European bank, which is my current employer. My experience is mostly in, like you said, credit risk management, in corporate investment banking. I've also worked in the capacity of a front office in transaction structuring as well. So pretty much, I'm quite familiar in terms of the bank's product offering and also from the risk management angle as well.
Thank you. And what does diversity, equity, and inclusion mean to you?
For me, I think it can sum up to one word when we talk about DEI, is to have a sense of belonging. We're all different in many different ways, gender, race, age, generation, sexual orientation. But at the end of the day, we all want to feel like we belong to together, right? Has a sense of belonging. We want to be feel welcome. We want to be respected, listened to, treated fairly, and then can contribute and grow together. I think that's what DEI is about, and it's to embrace the difference, between you and me or any other people I run into.
Right. And speaking of belonging, and after working at quite a few organizations in the past, how have these organizations or corporations and banks you've worked with helped build diverse teams within the company culture? And in fact, what strategies were you aware of that has been effective in fostering a culture of belonging in where you have worked at?
So I've had the opportunity of working, like I said before, like a couple of American banks, a European bank, and also a US rating agencies. And also having to work in New York before, and as well as in Hong Kong, covering North Asia. I do see common themes amongst all these banks and also the rating agency I previously worked for. So they all have ERG groups, employee resource group, which means that they might have internal employee-led volunteer organizations that might be focusing on being an LGBT person. It could be on veterans. It could be an Asian leadership or Black leadership. They may focus on families. They may want to create awareness of disability, and also maybe even veterans. So for all these companies that I work for, they all have different degrees of similarity in terms of having these internal employee groups where are led by employees and also heavily participated by employees, which they find attractive to certain themes that they would like to participate. In addition to ERG groups, employee resource group, there are also volunteering. It's big I think in the banking industry. We always want to give back to the local communities, which we have business, and we like to, contribute something back to the local, maybe the underprivileged areas or underserved population. So that's also a common theme, which I see across all the banks that I previously worked for, and also the rating agency as well. And I can give some examples. Like, for example, I remember when I was in New York, I volunteered through Habitat, where we actually help paint houses. I've also done one, I think it's like volunteering in the education, where I actually did some where I did some mentoring and tutoring as well. Right now, where I am in Jacksonville, I've also participated in volunteering, painting school, doing yard work, landscape work for the school, where they can't afford to pay for someone to do so. So we organize, volunteers within DB and along with other organizations, and we go out to the school and help paint the school, and also then do the landscape. I've done also volunteering work, assemble furnitures for a 3-bedroom safe house for LGBT teenagers and young adults. So these are just a couple of examples that I can think of right away in terms of the volunteering activities which the bank often engages in the local community.
And can you share if there's any specific metrics or benchmarks you use within the corporation that you work at to track progress in diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Yeah, definitely. So if I think about on the ERG side, right, and Employees Resource Group, which basically are the founding pillar for our DEI initiatives, as a bank, we actually have stated goals defined by the management board on what we like to achieve. And one example of a goal that we actually set for ourselves is called 35% by 2025. What it means is, as a bank, we target to have female representation in the MD, which is managing director, as well as VP population of 35% by 2025. And the good news is we're almost there. At the end of 2023, the bank actually provided the latest statistics, and we're already at 32%. So we're almost there. So by 2025, we'll definitely see 35% of female representation in the more senior roles within the bank.
Right.
We also had another stated goal that we target to double our Black leadership by not double, but by increase by 50% in 2023, which I think we also achieved as a bank. So we do have these stated goals in our CSG scorecard in terms of our DEI initiatives.
Right. Are you aware of any way the bank has used this data, leverage this data to drive a meaningful change in developing further plans or further goals?
Yes. So I think gender diversity is definitely a high on our list. Race diversity, right? So I talked about increasing the Black leadership within the bank. I heard some very encouraging news from senior management earlier this year that in 2025 there will be a new metrics. They're looking to set a new metrics to also have LGBTQ employees represented in senior leadership, and they'll start tracking the data on this front. So it's very encouraging. I mean, it seems like the bank is definitely taking the DEI very seriously and setting up different goals for us to all achieve over time. So that's on the DEI front. On the giving back to the community side, we also have some goals that we set up. So one goal that we actually stated publicly is we would like to make a positive impact on the lives of 6 million people by 2025. And I think since 2015, our community initiatives have impacted 6.1 million individuals. So I would imagine that if it's a school, then we'll count the school population. If we volunteer in a school project, let's say painting the school, right? So all the students would benefit in that particular school. So we're talking about 6.1 million, which is a gigantic number in my mind. So I'm actually quite shocked when I saw the number as well, when I did some research for this interview. So I'm very proud to say that we as a bank we definitely make good progress. And on the voluntary front, based on the number of volunteers that participated in 2023, 27% of our staff, translating to about 23,000 individuals, actually volunteered in some form of social projects in 2023. So that's quite impressive. And the number of hours, when we add up all the hours that all the volunteers put together, we're talking about 200,000 hours, which is a lot as well.
Wow, that
So
sounds like really
yeah,
promising growth.
yeah.
Um, and also this is more from your personal angle, but diversity, it seems, is becoming a divisive and I say it like dirty word as politics has been framing it in recent years. How has the experience of working in Asia and America, both countries offer a broader perspective of maybe some potential inequalities faced by different populations? And have you ever perceived a need for DEI working at a different country or culture?
Um, I, I, I want, I'm going to disagree with you. When I think about diversity, I don't think of it becoming like divisive. On the contrary, I think diversity actually brings people together. The concept of diversity, let's say. So from a bank's perspective, right? When we think about diversity, we want everybody to have this great sense of belonging together, and but not dividing up into many small camps. Now, do I see a need for DI initiatives? The bank already has a very established framework, and not just the bank that I'm working for. I would say pretty much in general, the entire banking industry. Each bank has similar goals like DEI goals, volunteer goals, because we all want to give back to the community and we all want to create a sense of belonging, in our own individual corporation or bank. So having worked in US and Asia, the DEI focus obviously has some differences. So if I think about Asia, it's more on gender, um, families, caring for children and your aging parents, which is high priority for Asians in general. Sexual orientation, LGBTQ, and also awareness of disabilities. So I think those are the more focused DEI from Asia perspective. In the US and EU, I observe a broader coverage of DEI initiatives, because in the US and EU, you would then also include race, right? Generations, right? The X generation, you have different generations working together, and also veterans, in the US. So there are a few more ERG groups that are being offered in the US and EU as opposed to being in Asia. I personally belong to the LGBTQ ERG group. I actually sit on the leadership team, and we constantly participate in local events to support the LGBT community in Jacksonville. And we also try to raise money for them, volunteer for them. And we're also a strong advocate in terms of promoting diversity.
Can you elaborate on some of the projects or just give an example of some of the projects you have been working on in regards to LGBTQ?
For LGBTQ, so in Jacksonville, Jasmine actually have an annual 5K run, which is a fundraising event. So I actually reach out to all my friends and try to raise money for the 5K event. And I'm proud to say I actually came out to be the top fundraiser for the event, and I think I raised almost, I think like over $4,000 for them for this
Oh,
5K event. So I'm very proud of that. And I want to also say that my bank is very generous. We have a charity foundation whereby money that I raise and contribute, the bank actually matches a dollar for a dollar.
wow.
So yeah, so it was actually quite powerful. It becomes almost like, like basically doubling the funds I raised because DB matched 100%. So quite proud of that with my bank doing that.
Wow.
I've also volunteered in the furniture assembly. We donated, they wanted to furnish 6 rooms for LGBTQ young adults in apartment. So we donated $2,000 to furnish 2 rooms, and then we also put in the hours to assemble the furnitures for 2 of the bedroom that we sponsor in this particular project. And they call it the safe space. It's meant to be for young adults to live there maybe for the first 1 year when they start working and they couldn't afford to rent an entire apartment. So in this project, they can rent a room. Of course, in the beginning, they don't have to pay a lot, but once they reach the 1 year, work experience, and they might have to start paying more, and then maybe even try to look for an apartment outside this safe house. So we're quite proud of that project as well. Yeah, so those will be like a couple of examples.
Sounds
My
like really
involvement.
sounds like really inspiring projects and works. And if we
Mhm.
can all give back more to the community, and if
Yeah.
corporations like your bank has been showing great progress and great work in terms of giving steps to DEI.
We also, not only that, from a volunteering perspective, um, not giving back, we also have a program called Adopting a School.
Hmm.
And every year during Christmas, we also adopt a family, and then we'll raise donations, and then we basically would buy like all the gifts
Wow.
for an underprivileged family, and then during Christmas, then we deliver all the gifts to that one family. So in the bank, every division adopt a family. So there are actually quite a few families that we raise money and then go and buy Christmas presents for the entire family. Yeah.
Wow, that does sound like work that
Um,
brings people together. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And it again, it creates this sense of belonging to the local community, and not just
Yes.
within the bank itself.
Right. Okay, thank you so much. I'm so happy to hear about all this work that has been going on with DEI, and I'm certainly really happy that a lot of progress has been made in the sector and your corporation that you work at.